Recorder. What's up, guys? It's a new podcast here, Burning Numbers. Myself, Joshua Burnell, the CEO of Millionaire Connections and a personal finance coach. I'm with a good friend here.
Hi, my name is Numair Malik. I'm currently a master's student studying physics at UCL.
We're going to be talking about lots of different topics, things that we're interested in, and hopefully you guys are going to be fascinated as well. This episode is going to be based on the idea of trying to colonize Mars. And we're also talking about things like Elon Musk and his ideas and exploration in that field. So if Numair, you want to take it away with maybe some up-to-date information of where we're at in the colonization.
Currently we haven't. I don't think we've made any progress in terms of actually going there, but it's currently just Elon Musk putting his case forward about trying to do it and him trying to convince like America to fund a research project to start colonizing like Mars. What he wants is in the next 50 years is to have a city of 1 million people on Mars.
Oh, that's really interesting. I think this is almost as exciting as the times when back in the 1700s they started to colonize, or probably before that actually, colonize America. You know, so it's completely different lands, new territory, new society, and the basics of human and how we become a community, right? So I think it adds a lot of new aspects, but also challenges of a whole different planet. So what do you think like the limitations are going to be in a physical sense? Obviously,
the pure limitation is going to be purely distance for me, which is like, especially like thinking about how far away like America and England is way different from Earth and Mars,
right?
In the fact that we can get to America quite easily, and even then, like obviously they're traveling on like boats stuff, which took a while, but it didn't take like, we're talking about like a month of like traveling time just to get from one planet to another planet and get there safely. So
yeah, do you think you would actually make that journey?
And the issue is who the hell is going to make the journey?
Yeah, it's going to take a long time, and I don't know. Elon Musk has made a lot of progress with rockets and landing them, and the monetary side of the situation looking a lot more positive than it was 20 years ago. But I still think, because like you said, the distance is going to be take so long to get there. And then what sort of like mental health issues are we going to have? We're going to be depressed on a
ethically ain't working for us, is it? It's
no, I don't think so. What do you know about is there water on Mars? Can we survive?
There has been pictures that have shown that there are, and they've been like research to show that there has been materials on Mars that are sustainable. Mm-hmm. But the problem being is, how long is it sustainable for? And humans being humans, if humans go there, the sustainability of it is probably gonna decrease crazy amounts just by humans being humans.
Yeah. Have you thought about? I don't know if you heard. I've had a lot of people talk about and theories of the idea that NASA originally produced or fake made up pictures of the expedition to the moon. There's probably a lot of people out there that also says the same thing about water and other potential pictures, or
Yeah, but the thing is that there's always going to be people doubting anything that America does in general just because it's America. like you can be real about it. Like that picture to me is definitely not fake, and it's definitely easy to see that it was a possible thing to do at the time. Like I don't see the issue about going to the moon.
I think most of the limitation is going to be like, in a sense, you go there, but the human body is conditioned and built through evolution to be sustainable to the earth, right? So yeah, we need water to survive and drink, but also the radiation, the temperature consistency, the pressure. I think these are all challenges that is going to be, we need to change the whole planet almost, right?
I wouldn't say we have to change the whole planet. We have to create a section on Mars that is more on the idea of like, you have to I'm gonna say it's a word that probably doesn't make sense, but environmentalize a section on there, which
I
is
get
like
that. Yeah, yeah.
if people get on there, you have to you have to border off a section and then like close it off completely to the rest of the planet, and use that one section, and you have to try mimic the environment on Earth, the air pressure, the temperature, things like that, to suit human capabilities.
That seems way too risky. Like the risk control over that. If you don't have air,
Which is
you're
why I
dead.
think Elon Musk's idea of 50 years is completely unrealistic.
Yeah, but even if it
Because
is realistic in that sense, are people gonna be brave enough to go there?
I think you can find 1 million dumb people to do it.
Dumb or up for some crazy adventure, right?
It's like people that have no disregard for life. They're just like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah. I saw a study. The people. Sorry, on the topic of like mental health and how you cope after having such highs and how you the lack of appreciation of the lows. So the astronauts that went to the moon the first time, when they come back, they kind of documented and tracked their mental health and how they feel about general life. Now, if you think about the expedition to Mars, to the moon, you're completely going out of this world. This is the most craziest as an exciting thing possible, right? And then you come back to an everyday sort of life where you're just seeing the same road, but you've seen the planet, so you don't. It's difficult to appreciate the smaller things that we have once you've done that. I think if we went to Mars, first of all, the excitement of going and everything's new, but then it would become mundane and boring, and in a similar sense of coming back to Earth. But also, Mars is generally a lot less stimulus to the brain than Earth. They don't have animals, they don't have scenery, they don't have wildlife for you to go and explore. Everything's just the same old boring desert, right?
Yeah, I get it. That is true, but I think what the ethical side of things, like this ethically does not work at all anyway. So I think people who are willing to go have to accept the idea that the life over there isn't going to be as, like, I'm going to say as great as it is here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because you have to think people are going there with the idea that they're visiting a new planet. They're not going with the idea that they're finding an entire new like life, in because like over here we have a society that's been like shaped over the last how many thousands of years. When you go there, it's like you're starting society from scratch. It's
Yeah.
nowhere near going to be as tailored, as designed to us as it is here.
So what do you think, like, ethically is are the problems?
Ethically, the problems are you're risking potential of 1 million lives,
Yeah.
because I think their plan was to make a city of 1 million people. You're ruining people's mental health by giving them a life that isn't as great as it was. The good things being that people can adventure how they wanted to before.
Mm-hmm.
But the main issue for me is the risking of lives, because there's a lot of people you're taking, and if you're taking that many people and you want to take them there, and somehow something goes wrong, who's responsible for all the deaths?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure the companies, Tesla, whatever, SpaceX, are going to get you to sign some waivers. So it's going to be fully to your consent. But then risk of your life happens in lots of different ways. I mean, I had an accident on my bicycle where I had to get a metal plate put into my wrist. I had to sign a waiver to that to say that I might actually die. And if I die, it's not their fault, right? Infections and all sorts of stuff. So they're going to do a similar thing, and lots of people are happy to go skydiving. Lots of people are happy to ride motorcycles, like myself. I think risk isn't something that's going to stop a lot of people, and they're going to take it all down to their own consensual matter.
No, but also if something does happen, it gets to a point where no one is going to want to try it. And the public eye is definitely gonna go ham on SpaceX for even doing it.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be like, how are you going even, like, because ideally it should be 99% safe, like not 99%, but like, you know what I'm saying, like pretty much 100% a safe route from Earth to Mars. And if something does go wrong, it's gonna be on pretty much on SpaceX's head. Like, why have you done this? How do you have the morals to allow people to go even though you know it's not 100% safe?
But then, what is 100% safe?
Huh?
What is 100% safe?
100% safe is in a safe transport from Earth to Mars with a designated spot for them to land and live for a certain amount of time until they can come back.
Do you think?
But that is hard to do without people actually going there in the beginning.
Then we don't have the same situation on Earth. You have a child, you become a father, you're essentially delivering this baby to planet Earth, and you're saying, I'm going to help you and give you all the equipment and knowledge to be able to survive. But at the end of the day, it's kind of up to you. And if you end up dying at age 20 or you end up dying at age 50, you can't guarantee that, man.
But at the end of the day, that is necessary for like human evolution in general. This is not.
Okay, so would you say that going to Mars and the risks that are involved, maybe we shouldn't have 100% certainty that we're going to survive? Maybe evolution is going to happen, or something that we're going to change or become better because shit happens.
I don't think it's a necessary thing to do.
To go to Mars?
To go to Mars. It's interesting. Like, as a guy who does physics myself, yes, it's interesting. You want to find out what's there.
Yeah.
But is it necessary in the sense that you're willing to put other people's lives on the line to go there? Like, there's many things that can be done via technology.
Mm-hmm.
What is the reasoning? Why are people wanting to put life on Mars? Why are they trying to populate another planet? Is the question.
Yeah. I think the fundamental argument and the reason why, for example, Elon Musk is striving so much to become multi-planetary is initially that point that something could happen to this planet. The way that we treat this planet is not going a good way. Look at the planet systems is completely changing. So if we're destroying the planet or something destroys the planet for us, then we are technically doomed, right?
Yes.
So if we was the same way that you would then back up your Word document onto another hard drive, we need to back up our DNA and information onto another device, and that would be like a planet.
So your head is going towards like, oh, it's a backup option for us.
It's almost necessary, yeah. I mean, I think about the dinosaurs. If there was a meteorite coming down to Earth and it's going to actually mess up the planet, then we can only survive on the planet that we currently have. So if the planet changes, then we're going to need another one, right?
That is true, but it's why? So then it also fixes. Then you also go to the issue is why is money being put into there when it can be put into many other aspects of life here?
In what sense?
In what sense is like not to play the socialist card, but it's like you have quality of life in other places that are nowhere near as great as it is for, like, let's say us in the UK. Like quality of life in other countries, like poorer countries, like we're thinking like Sudan, Nigeria,
as the list goes on,
places like that. Like in Nigeria, they're currently having the protest over there. In Sudan, they have a disgusting dictator over there. Like the quality of life in other countries isn't that great. Why are we not putting money into fixing those instead of putting money into giving ourselves a backup when our original copy isn't good enough?
I don't think we are not putting the money into that. I think those are countries that were aiding and supporting in trying to increase the the standard of living in many different countries, and there is a disproportionate amount we are. The standard of living we have is greatly different to the standard of living in the countries that you just mentioned. But on the same token, if something catastrophic happens to this planet, it doesn't matter what your standard of living is, we're all going to be dead.
Yeah, true. But so we also think in the time that something catastrophic does happen, like something like what you call a meteor or something.
Yeah.
Do you think the Earth has enough time to prepare people to another planet?
That could be interpreted really badly.
You know what I'm saying, though.
No, I get what you're saying. But you have to try, right?
That is true. You do have to try. I think this is something that isn't. I agree that the Earth is definitely going in the negative direction. The fact that the Earth is being treated so badly that it's legit deteriorating at this point in time. And a good backup would be a good option, but I don't think there are the technological like resources, and it doesn't have enough backing for it to actually happen.
So what do you think is going to happen in 200 years?
So currently, remember how we talked about like the moon and stuff?
Yeah.
The reason NASA was so adamant on putting someone on the moon was because that was a space race between America and Russia. And in the end, it does always end up to that. So currently, the global race is for a global semiconductor. I haven't looked myself much into it, but that is what these countries are all putting their resources into right now.
Wait, sorry to interrupt. Just for the audience, so people are viewing it, what is a semiconductor? What are we racing towards?
A semiconductor is like a so if you have in school we've learned about insulations and conductors, right? A semiconductor is one that is, how would I explain a semiconductor? Give me 1 second to get a layman term.
Okay, so a conductor is anything that allows electricity to flow through it. An insulator is something that is resistive and stops the electricity from flowing through it. Yeah.
But it's also in the idea that a semiconductor works in the way that it has like minimal resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So this conductor material has like it kind of passes through energy at the most efficient rate.
Okay. So they're looking for a method to transfer energy without losing much.
Yes.
And how does that translate to going to Mars?
No, I'm saying that's what all these countries are currently putting their money into.
Okay.
So countries aren't willing to back these global projects because they're currently working on so before the space race, they call it a semiconductor race.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the issue that's one of the main issues that Elon Musk is facing right now, is that he can't actually get the backing because these countries are so adamant on finishing this race and being first.
Right.
Because as usual, the America versus Russia situation always happens, and that overarches life in general for some reason.
Yeah. That's interesting. I don't know if you guys have watched the film The Matrix. It's quite an old film, like 2000. Have you seen it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So in that, there's a scene where one of the good guys, Morpheus, is being interrogated by one of the computer programs, and the computer program explains or describes the human race as to be like a virus. The same way a virus goes to a new environment, multiplies, and then breaks down that environment. The human race also does the same thing. We chop down trees rather than nearly every other animal or species helps the environment in a certain way. I think if we go to Mars, I don't think there's any destruction that we can do. Like it's not like it's a perfect planet in itself. So obviously Earth has a full ecosystem, has life on it already.
Mhm.
There's nothing we're going to do to
Yes.
Mars, right? So
I say Mars is already at a state where we can't ruin it.
we can't ruin it. And I think if we move to Mars, or the majority of the population moves to another planet, Earth is like replenishing, right? It's going through a cycle of destructive thunderstorms, crazy tsunami tides, whatever, tectonic plate movements over the course of however many years. So it's going to get better, right?
Yes.
And so us getting out of here may be the reason why we can heal our own planet, or the method in which we can heal our own planet.
But I think wouldn't the plan on Mars not to be like, oh, we're not going to do anything to it, but rather is to create an environment there.
Yeah. But we're not in a sense, we are not a virus to Mars. We almost become the opposite, initiating a better environment. No,
I don't think we have enough data about Mars to be able to make that conclusion, because there's a lot of Mars that hasn't been looked into. Like obviously, you understand, for the Earth, we know we can describe every single part of this Earth.
almost,
right?
yeah.
Almost every single part. If you think about, like, we can name from the atmosphere up in the sky down to the core in the middle.
Yeah, I mean,
We can
I
describe.
think there's loads of exploration that needs to happen in like in depth waters.
Yeah, in depth waters, I think there's explorations, but in terms of like the overall out view and overall of how the Earth works, we as humans have a very, in my opinion, quite a good understanding on how everything works over here.
Mm-hmm.
But that understanding is nowhere near as adamant in other planets like Mars, because what we can see is only touching the surface rather than going deep into what's actually in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we've only hit the tip of the iceberg. I think it has to take for people to go there to actually understand what goes on as a planet there, like how that planet works, what's under the outer surface of that planet. So I think that's one of the things that has to be looked into there.
Do you think there's going to be any life forms on other planets?
Any intelligent life forms, I doubt, but I think there will be some form of life there, which is like I'm considering just like water, plants, and things like that. There will be things like that there, in my opinion.
Okay, that's
just
interesting.
that we can't see it. Yeah.
Well, why do we not see it? I mean, we have robots zooming around on the planet.
Yeah, because we're zooming around on the outer surface of the planet.
I still think there's life form inside, the same way like a worm is inside the dirt, right?
Yes, I think that there's definitely some. It's like how we have. If you dig deep enough into the earth, you have water.
Water's not life form.
Huh?
Well, I wouldn't say water is life.
But water is a catalyst for life.
Okay, so you're saying there's a possibility that life could exist there. Do you think that life does exist already there or any other planet, in the universe of billions?
Well, okay, in the universe, 100% there has to be.
You think?
But in this solar system, I don't think so. No. Because in the universe, you have to think there's definitely, like, you think about how expandable, how big. Like, you have to understand how small we are.
Yeah.
So in the large scale of things, there has to be other forms.
If we become multi-planetary, and there is another form of life, whether it be like a plant or some microorganisms, what do you think that our impact is going to be? Because obviously I know of stories where we go into like Native Americans or places around the world where people have not come into contact with the new community or society, right? and they're not their bodies are not now immune to the new viruses that have developed. So then we go and pass on these new viruses to them, and they become sick and potentially die. I think there's a lot of controversy and debates about whether we should go, because we may give them something that could kill them, and therefore there was life and now there's not. What do you think about that?
I think in terms of that is, I think before going, like before any sort of colonizing, there will be like an initial search, which is like going to be like when they get there, you do have to do a search of the area. You have to go, you have to do an in-depth, like pretty much like a review of the area. You have to very much interrogate that entire sector. And if they do find anything, us being us is going to be like, oh, let's like analyze the crap out of this thing.
Let's torture it.
Let's absolutely analyze the crap out of it.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably going to be the route that's going to be taken. It's like, oh, something new. Let's find out.
Yeah.
Because you understand, we're also, as a species, the species is driven by curiosity, I think. It's like the only reason like people are even thinking about going to Mars, in my head, is they want to see what's there.
And do you think once they get there, that the possibility that it's so mundane, it's so boring, so desert-like, that they're gonna lose motivation completely? And if you think about it, the people that go there are gonna be either they have enough money to pay for the journey itself, or they're gonna be research academics, they're gonna be engineers, they're going to be programmers, they're going to be people who go in there pretty much to work. Then if your motivation to go there is exploration and something new, then as soon as that goes out of the picture, what's going to happen then? I mean, what happens if someone goes crazy and starts killing each other, or they just get angry and pissed off, you know?
I think if it gets to the point, because obviously, yeah, that's right. The people that will go are probably like researchers, scientists, people that want to find out more about the area. Mars is not a small place. So I think there will always be room to look. And once there isn't room to look, then you're done. You come back.
Which is not so easy, right?
Like what can you do? Like it's because the nature of how scientists work anyway is most scientists alive don't find anything, but they will still search till they die.
Yeah.
So
have you seen the film The Martian?
Yes, I've seen the film The Martian.
What do you think about that?
It's a good film.
Do you think it's accurately representing the science?
I couldn't say so. I mean, I can't say yes or no to that just because I don't remember it 100%.
Okay, yeah.
The ideas of it were right though, from what I remember, which was like quarantine into one section and then use that section to mimic life on Earth, and then use that to eventually grow materials. Like that theoretically does make sense.
I've seen a couple of other different programs or films where they've gone to colonize another planet. I'm not sure which one it is. If anybody knows, sure, drop me a comment, let me know. But a community is gone and theoretically everything is fine, but they're leaving out the human factor of, we're humans, we're emotional beings. We're going to do things wrong, or we're going to make errors and things like this. And half of the time in these programs, they end up killing each other or getting arguments, or, you can just get pissed off and start smashing in some catalytic converter, or, and just completely mess up the hardware that you need to survive. I mean, if you've got air conditioning units, you take a sledgehammer to it, you're going to be pretty damn hot on Mars, or pretty damn cold. I'm not sure.
There is a chance that it's going to happen, but I think it'll be legislated in a way that it's going to be very unlikely for that to happen. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It will be legislated. Like hearing a suicide on Mars will not be like a surprise, but hearing a homicide in Mars will be, I think, is very unlikely. because it will be legislated in a way that I think it'll be hard to do.
Okay. And imagine you have a society where somebody is suicidal, like they're depressed, in a situation where social construct is so important that everybody stays positive, everybody stays on the mission, trying to progress the planet. What do you think people, or how should you deal with somebody who is potentially suicidal or depressed?
I wish I could answer the question.
Well, what would you do?
What would I do? It's like how you deal with it here. You have services to provide help for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think if you're gonna do something like that, which has obviously it has potential to completely slam someone mentally, you will have places that you will have services to help those people through. But the problem I have is, will those services even know what to do? Because it's like these situations are unlike anything they've ever dealt with before.
Yeah.
But so in total, it will be a hard thing, but there has to be a service there for people to go to.
Yeah. You know, I think society is built up dependent and reliant on everybody else. So if you just take one job or service completely out of society, for example, bin men, if you just remove bin men, you've got rubbish all over the place. It looks a shithole. Nobody wants to live there.
Yeah.
Then everybody moves out, blah, blah, blah. In a situation that we just kind of went through, somebody's depressed, potentially suicidal, and now you need a psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever, you know? And what do those people need? Or what about the people that to be mentally happy, they need to be fit? Okay, you need exercise machines. Now you need personal trainers. So maybe it's the point where actually every person in society is now needed, or every type of person is now needed to then go to Mars.
So
the selective process for that is going to be ridiculous.
You've got to think, what are the necessary things you need for society to function, right?
But function is just survive, or function is in survive and thrive?
I mean progress. Surviving isn't, in my head, isn't good enough.
Yeah.
Yes, survival is there, but like, why you want to have made progress on that space? So then that is a viable place to go to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you have to think, what are the necessary things to go forward? So I can't list them out for you, but yeah, and then you have to prep each person going there with these things. As like, when you go, you have this job to do.
Yeah.
And if you can successfully do that, then I think in terms of like necessary services to get forward, I don't think there's an issue.
It's interesting. I think everybody is relying on so many different types of things. I don't think you could actually pick out or even morally decide what is more important for a human being. I mean, you can say that food, water is more important, and therefore we're going to prioritize people who are able to obtain and sustain food and water. But then the leading causes for suicide is more social issues and relationship issues. So wouldn't it be more so than the lack of food or water?
Yes.
So in that sense, it then becomes more important that you ensure that whole families go, ensure that relationships are then built, ensure that, are you going to go to Mars and then not have sex? Are you going to go to Mars and then not have deep, meaningful relationships and build up a family? And I guess that is going to be the end goal, isn't it?
Like, I think the end goal is that, but I think people should go with, I think if you're going to go on these expeditions, when doing this, you have to accept the fact that you will not be able to have these luxuries that we have here on Earth, like certain luxuries that you have on Earth. Like you have to go knowing these things, and obviously that's gonna lead to a deterioration of mental health. But that is a side effect, and that is something you have already accepted that's gonna happen.
But do you think mental health is a luxury?
Huh?
Do you
No, I don't
think
think
that?
mental health. I mean, having meaningful relationships is a luxury. Yes.
Okay.
I like in a way that not everyone gets it.
And not everybody gets meaningful relationships.
Yeah, so it's not as like everyone has these relationships, but it's in a way that it's how am I going to
So, like,
explain
I think a
this?
deep, meaningful relationship is something that makes you feel loved, something that
Mhm.
you spend a lot of time and effort to keep.
Yeah,
And it can be a relationship with your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever. It can be a relationship with your parents, your sisters, your uncles, your best friends. It can be a relationship with your colleagues. And I think,
but I think that is something that doesn't occur within every single person. It's not it's not built into our DNA. It's like something it's something humans desire, not get automatically, you know? So you have to look for it rather than it coming to you. Things like that.
I mean, you will need to
Like,
build deep, meaningful relationships, but you build
yeah.
that relationship with your parents. I don't think there's anybody on the planet that doesn't have a relationship with somebody unless they have psychological issues. I mean, people in prison, I'm sure they got relationships with people outside of prison, or they become brothers with their cellmate. You know, they become completely emotionally dependent on them, and rely on them.
Mhm.
And I think the same would happen or need to happen on Mars.
Mhm. But yeah, but I think we're heading too much into the like a sociological part. I mean, sociology path there, and I think me and you both don't have enough knowledge to truly understand how that works. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I don't think I
We're
have
working
enough
at
knowledge for pretty much
yeah.
any topic that we're ever going to talk about. But it's nice to talk about and
Yeah,
debate, and
because I think if we're gonna talk about this thing, we're gonna on another episode. It's like we can work on it on something we have to read up on and really look into on a deeper scale. Because obviously
yeah,
there's been research and things like this on these topics.
yeah.
So I think me and you will both have to actually like read and actually try to put our heads and understand these things.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to cut it there. So thank you
Yep.
guys for watching. It's Numair Malik and
Thank you.
myself, Joshua. See you guys in the next one.